it's not sharing the audio. Well, if for some reason it's not sharing.
Welcome to Radio Toni Every Day Business. Each week, bringing you unique business stories and information live on BBS Radio. Every business has a story. Every business has something to say. Let me help tell the world about your unique business. Radio Toni Every Day Business, live each week. And hello, everyone. Welcome to Radio Toni Everyday Business. And we have been sorting out some little text issues at the start of the show. And so now we are ready to go. And just a reminder that if you need to know anything about the Radio Toni programs, please feel free to jump onto radiotoni.com, where you'll find all about our wonderful co-hosts and all the shows that are upcoming, as well as replays and podcasts of the old shows. So this week is the first in a 4-part series that I'm doing with the beautiful Oxana Johnson. Now, Oxana was originally from Russia and made her way to Australia via Singapore. She is an NLP practitioner and has had her own battles with depression and anxiety. And the purpose of this week's show is to introduce you to the glorious person that is Oxana Johnson. So welcome to Radio Toni, Oxana.
Hey, well, it's my absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for that introduction. I was like, oh, May, is that actually describing me? That's nice.
That absolutely is describing you. And I thought that this week, I really want to introduce you to our wonderful listeners on BBS Radio. And I want to know the Oxana story. So let's start in your birthplace, Russia.
Oh, okay. So everyone has a story, and I absolutely love humans and human stories. Would love to share my version, and I'm going to try and make it as concise as I can for just the time being, but just to kind of highlighting the important things. So once upon a time, there was a girl named Oksana Zhdanova at the time, and she was born in a city far east. It's called Vladivostok. So just to give you a bit of perspective, if you were to imagine Russian map of Russia, which is quite big, it takes me 40 minutes to fly to Tokyo compared to 8 hours to fly to Moscow. So technically I'm Asian, believe it or not. So here you go.
Wow.
That's a little trivia question and response about me. And then basically going through life, it's quite interesting. I'm going to share the story, what I am aware of now compared to what was happening at the time, because we all have our journey and the realizations. So at the time it was, I can't say that I've always felt very comfortable around my people. I couldn't really pinpoint what it was at the time, but now I understand it was just the discovery of my sense of identity, which is absolutely, it's liquid and it's constantly changing. At the time, my first realization about my sense of identity, or let's put it this way, what was taken away from me. When I was 16 years old, I was doing, up to that time, I was doing contemporary dancing professionally.
Yes.
And I was so excited when I got an invitation to go to academy to Moscow. And with
Yes.
this beautiful news, I actually, skipped over to my parents and I really said that I would love to go. And the response that I got was basically, dancing is not a profession, darling. You need to come up with something else.
Yeah.
So, which was, quite interesting, because when you receive that type of feedback from people with who, your life really relies
You're
upon, it's
close.
kind of
Yeah.
was quite shattering, but
Yeah.
that's okay. Yeah, that's what happened. So I had no idea what I wanted to become, and that's when I was like, okay, well, I can't be a dancer, so what do you want me to be?
Yeah.
And again, I've done quite a lot of inner work and forgiveness and acceptance. They've done the best they could with the resources they had at the time.
Yes.
So they pushed me quite strongly in academics and learning the language, because that's something that mom never had an opportunity growing in the USSR at the time.
Yes.
So basically, life happened. So doing really well in school, winning lots of scholarships and anything and everything. And at the time of high school, I basically could get into any university I wanted.
Yes.
Just the main issue is that I still wanted to be a dancer, right? And I had to be something else.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what happened basically, I decided to go and be very, very kind of mediocre, so to speak. So I just did general international business, majoring in
Yeah.
economics. So, why not? Everyone wants to run a business in one day in their life, potentially. So that was that. And I remember, so it's a 5-year degree back in Russia.
Oh,
And I
okay.
remember when it was kind of, we call it an equator, so 2.5.
Yes.
We were with the mates, with the group, and we were camping, and I was looking at the starry sky, lying on a beanbag, and
Yeah.
actually, I didn't actually ask the most important thing. Am I allowed to swear? Probably not. Am I?
Yes.
Maybe a
It's your
little bit.
show.
Okay. Okay, well then here you go. Then it's the non PG-13 version of the story. I was lying at
Yeah.
the beanbag and staring at the starry sky, and I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, I cannot live my life like this. This is
Yes.
ridiculous. It's kind of
Yes.
like, those aha epiphany moments.
Yes.
And I'm like, I just need to run away in a kingdom far, far away, as far as I can. And that's what I've done, because ultimately
Yes.
like on the other, the down under. So, and the way it kind of came along, the idea that I sold to my family, it was always brilliant. It was all about studying. So I just wanted
Yes.
to go study, and that's what I've done. So, and the reason why I kind of decided to go to, down the time zones rather than across, just for
Yes.
pure time zones, right? And
Yeah.
so that's what I've done. And that was the first step. And then when I arrived in Sydney, what happened was, I just realized how different people are and how much
Yeah.
more comfortable I felt, and the
Okay.
different way of living, and just, seeing humans as humans.
Yes.
And at first it was all great, but then it's almost like I started having an imposter syndrome. Like, why are people so nice? People could not be so nice. What do they want from
Oh,
me? I know. And this just kind of
yes.
escalated. And this is all happening in the headspace,
Yes.
Um, and it started escalating to the bigger questions of the sense of identity. Again, it's like, who
Yeah.
am I? Why am I here? Is this it? Like, is
Yes.
it like, what's the purpose of all of this?
Yes.
And it's kind of like so good to have those type of philosophical encounters over a couple of drinks, with friends, and then forget about them.
Yes.
But
Yes.
I started spiraling down into very, very deep and dark places, because for
Yeah.
me, it was so much deeper than just philosophy. It was literally
Yes.
my sense of identity again. And
Yes.
that's when I've noticed that, yeah, like I didn't know what it was, because, stigma, mental health stigma in Russia, we still don't talk about it. We just drink heavily a lot with other people, or even by yourself sometimes, which is not a very good way to deal with things, huh? So,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
again, welcome
Yeah.
to Non-Resourceful State Management 101. We can talk about that later. So what happened was, I in Sydney, I
Yeah.
went through the whole clinical system, as I call it, right? So clinical
Yes.
system meaning clinical psychologists, clinical psychiatrists, the good guys, and don't
Yes.
I'm not telling that they don't deserve to exist. Absolutely they do. But for people
Yeah.
who actually definitely have that chemical imbalance that needs basically drugs to fix it. But
Yes.
for those
Yes.
who have that situational depression, as we call it, I don't think that's the way to go, because as soon as you
Yeah.
start playing around with chemicals, it's going to
Yes.
take a while to, reestablish and actually stabilize it.
It does.
So I promise I'm almost done. It's almost like we're kind of halfway in
No,
the
no,
story.
this show is about you, so we can take the whole show.
So basically, the way I call this clinical approach for me, from my experience, is that it's a Band-Aid effect. Because
Yes.
I would go in, I would wail in pain by they would ask the same set of questions. They would
Yes.
project stuff and their model of the world onto me. They would analyze me and they will
Yes.
try to figure me out. And then they will just give me solution purely based on what they thought. No one really asked the proper questions. So
Yeah.
what would happen? I would go and I would take their solution, try it on, and
Yeah.
it will kind of fit for a couple of days or weeks, but then eventually I would relapse and everything just going to be ground zero or even darker and deeper. And then I kind
Yeah.
of realized,
Yeah.
well, this is just exhausting. And what kind of helped me, and again, like, this is all happening, you need to realize that the normal path of life needs to be followed, right? So
Yes.
I finished uni, I got a job that I was good at, but I hated, and then it was corporate, and then
Yes.
I was with someone at the time who, and we fell in love and we married and everything was fine. So I'm kind of like, these are my 20s, right? So this is the 10
Yes.
years of self-discovery, as I refer to
Yes.
it. But ultimately, and this is what I could never understand, there would people tell me, especially my parents, like, you have the perfect life. Like, what the fuck else do you want? Like, what else do you want? You're just ungrateful. You just need to be happy because you have a roof.
Oh,
And I'm like, I am grateful. I'm just not
yes.
happy. I'm like, how
Yes.
can, and it's just this sadness was coming from such deep down and painful, and I don't
Yes.
know, and it was just over consuming. But then, the brave face had to be put on, and
Yes.
just go out there in the wild and survive. And anyway, so, but that was kind of my baseline for reality and normality at the
Yes.
time.
Uh-huh.
And again, now I understand that we all have the book that's called Our Life, and it was just a
Yeah.
chapter in mine. And as
Yeah.
much as I wanted to skip it and to not
Yes.
feel at all and not to be even there sometimes, I could not, because that was just, we have to experience exactly everything to, I know it's
Yes.
so corny, but like, to
It's
literally become
absolutely
who we
true,
are.
though.
It is, but like, there's so much of those, you need to experience everything in order to become who you are now. Well,
Yeah.
yeah, totally. So basically, moving on, the couple of, good grains, what I took away from the whole clinical side of things was to become aware of my internal dialogue, because I had no
Yeah.
idea. I thought everyone had this voice, and that
Yes.
was the baseline for their existence. When I realized that not many people talk to themselves, I was like, what is wrong with you? How can you not do this? And then, so that's kind of starting to realize, one of my therapists, we decided to do CBT, which is cognitive behavioral therapy.
Yes.
And I was
Yes.
quite successful for a little bit. We just kind of forgot that I've started creating stories in my head. So
Yes.
just living in my head, and this is not what I needed at all. Like, all of that, all of those symptoms, everything had to be taken out,
Yes.
and actually dealt with as the root cause. And that's when again, life happened. We moved to
Yeah.
Singapore at the time, and we were based out of Singapore for a couple of years. And I had a bit of time to continue my self-development. And guess what? That's where I came across NLP. And NLP
Uh-huh.
stands for Neuro Linguistics Programming, as a form
Yeah.
of psychotherapy. Do you know
Yes.
what? And I truly believe in timing. I do believe in a few things, like compounding effects of energy, but also timing.
Yeah.
If I were to come across it earlier in my life, I would have thought it just like some voodoo witchcraft shit, and I would just never follow it. But because I was ready, because it was
Yes.
exactly the moment in time.
Yes.
So, and it was kind of perfect scenario, because the lady who runs actually the International Institutes of NLP, she is based in Sydney, but she also
Oh,
trains
right.
out of Denver, Colorado, and
Yes.
and in Singapore.
Yeah.
So it was perfect. I knew that we're going to come back to Sydney eventually, so I could finish anytime that I want. And basically the way that I've done so it's practitioner, master practitioner, and coaching foundations.
Yes.
After I've done my first step of practitioner certification, in-person training, the only way I can describe it is that I haven't felt so clean ever in my life. The brain fog was gone. I felt such great alignment within. Like, it's kind of like I didn't need to have any sort of external validation. It's not it wasn't like, are we ever going to be happy again? It was like, according to whom and what's happiness. And it was just it was just coming from that internal trust. And it's just the way that I only can describe it, because in NLP, it's all communicating to the unconscious. So literally, neuro, it's the brain, right? Part of it. And then lingua, it's language, how we talk to each other and ourselves. Hello, internal dialogue. And then programming, it's the repetitiveness of patterns that's been happening forever. And then you can actually change it. And you can through, and you know what, the brilliant part about it was, it's not freaking rocket science. Like, it's not like you don't need to like write manuscripts or anything like that. It's so like the way that NLP was, and I'm sure we're going to talk about it as well, was discovered, is just literally modeling something that worked. People gave it a go and it worked, and it's not rocket science. It's so natural. So that's how it happens. Like, I've done my prac and I've started. Well, I was in control of my headspace. How fucking cool is that? For me at the time, it was brilliant. This is exactly what I needed. Yes, it needs a little bit of structure and routine to implement, but it's the same as like, we train our body, we might as well train our mind. But for some reason, we are, taking it for granted. But it's like, this is the only headspace we have, we need to be nice to. So, and then, I've done my practitioner, master practitioner, I've started helping myself. And this is where the compounding effect of energy comes in. Myself, other people, friends of friends, and it started growing as a little circle. And I'm like, well, I actually feel this is my why. This is why I'm here, and this is, I would love to help people, because you know what, if only I had, this is what I am saying. And I'm not saying that I wanted to jump my story, but if only I had someone like what I'm doing now to just hold my hand and maybe give me a virtual hug and say, you know what, Cupcake, it's okay. You're going to be okay. Just hang on there. You're not the only one. You're not insane. This is okay. This is just a phase. And this is exactly what I've been doing. And basically, when we came back from Singapore to Sydney, instead of getting another corporate job I hate, I've established, I took a leap of faith and I established my little online practice. The majority of my clients are still global, but the flexibility of it working online, and as well as the necessity of doing certain things early in the morning, right before you embark into the wild, right, to set your brain, the same as right before you go to bed so you can rewire your brain. It's priceless. And it's that's it. And I haven't really looked back. And so I'll tell you what, the whole pandemic and the amazing COVID-19 isolife definitely was an interesting experience too. But that's me. So this is a little, I can't say it was, it was just a story. I hope you enjoy that. If you have any questions, let me know. I can elaborate.
I want to know what it takes for a beautiful Russian girl to decide to live in a country so far away from everything that you've ever known.
I thought you were going to ask to shave her head. I'm like, okay, we can talk about that too.
We can ask that too.
That was my isolife story, but sure, we can talk about that too. It's just, I find that, again, the difference, good is good, bad is bad, but according to whom, right? But the good old question is like, what's the baseline for your humanity? And I could not explain it at the time. I think sometimes it's all about timing and the people you meet and the ripples effect. But as I mentioned, it was just something I couldn't put a finger at the time.
But you needed.
I just was not. I knew that this is not it. Like I knew that I needed some space, and I think, Parents are wonderful. I love
Yes.
them to bits. And
Yes.
sometimes they just have very strong opinions and they know what is best for us, but it's not. And it's just
It's not.
something a very good. It might be a bit harsh, but we're already swearing, so I think it's okay. We
Yeah,
can
it's okay.
we can handle this. Basically, traditions is just peer pressure from dead people. I know it's
Yes.
hard, but like, this is what we're going to be doing, because it's been done for 50 years. Well, fuck, that's not good enough. It's like, this is what it's
No.
been 50 years ago, but the world is evolving and we're
And
evolving. And
changing.
exactly. And humanity is changing. Like, just check out.
Absolutely.
So it was a part of my journey. And,
Yeah.
then everything else. And again, this is when we kind of slowly, I guess, touched upon the sense of identity. When you are aligned, you are
Yes.
honest with yourself, and
Yes.
you're congruent, life happens. And life
Yeah.
happens exactly in a way of not you're a hamster running in a wheel and
Yeah.
there are no experiments are done to you. When you take control of your life, you have the choices. You make the choices.
You
Only
have
you.
the power. When you take control, you take back your own power.
And that's unstoppable. Like, as soon as you, and this is when there are so many buzzwords out there happening with
Yeah.
manifestation and flow states. But
Yes.
seriously though, when you are riding that flow state, you are unstoppable. And life happens. Like, you meet people that you should be
Yes.
meeting. You
Yes.
meet exactly the ones that you need. And I think it's beautiful. It's fucking scary, don't get me wrong. Like, just can you imagine, because you were just like living like something for whatever 20, 30, 50 years, whatever, and
Yeah.
then all of a sudden it's all about that uncertainty. What if something bad happens? Well, fuck it, reframe it. What if something good happens? And this was
Exactly.
literally my mantra for the last couple of months. What if something good happens? What if? Can you just
Yes.
imagine the possibility, rather than,
Absolutely.
and then that's good old programming. Like, as soon as the more you talk to yourself, just be very, very careful what you say to yourself, because we are our
Definitely.
worst critics. And there are so many different parts of our personalities, that's for sure. But it's all about living in synergy and respecting every single little part of you, even the shadow. We can
Yeah.
have so many things to talk about. Like,
I
yeah.
know.
So it's just yeah. So why did I leave? I just
Yes.
left for, it felt right. Like, now when I
Yes.
look at it now, maybe if you would have asked me a couple of years ago, I would have answered something absolutely different. But now, why did I leave? I was suffocating. It just
Yes.
felt like it was small. It was small in terms of, not necessarily, it wasn't too small. It was like 1 million people. It wasn't Moscow, but still, but it was just suffocating in terms of, like, smolderings, whatever,
Yes.
smudging. I don't know, whatever that is. English is my still second
Yeah.
language. Whatever that verb is when you can't breathe, like that
Yes.
thing.
Suffocating.
Suffocating, yeah.
Mm.
So, and that's when yeah, and it was just, again, whatever another corny phrase is, the 1,000-step journey begins with the first step, or whatever that is. Well,
Yes.
that was my
Yes.
first step.
Yes.
I had no idea, I had no idea. Oh my God, if you would have told me, like, the story that I'm telling you, then I'm
Yes.
like, fuck off. That's not gonna happen. That's not me. But yeah, here we
Yeah.
are now. So,
And there's something, Oksana, about that process of stepping out of your comfort zone because you feel led to do it, and it is scary. And I don't think that we as humans talk about that innate fear of something new. And it doesn't have to be a big shift like from Russia to Australia. It can be something small, but every single human feels that fear about doing something new. And if you just go, okay, well, it's just a feeling, it's not actually going to kill me, is it? And
mm,
just do it anyway. It's amazing what happens in your life when you do that. Feel the fear and do it anyway. There's such power in those words, as you've
mm.
seen in your own life.
Absolutely. I would even probably take it even one step further. This is just like, again, what you've described about the fear, and feel the fear, and experience the
Yeah.
experience. But I reckon that's even more on the symptomatic side of it. If you were to align yourself when
Yes.
you are living your true path and your true self,
Yes.
when you know that you're enough, that there is no need to, there is no that you're not good enough according to whom conversation, because again, it's
Exactly.
all most likely from the patterns from whatever that happened in 8th grade at lunchtime, whatever.
Yes.
If you do and this is kind of what it brings to, when you're ready, you will embark on your self-discovery journey. It's kind of inevitable. Some people start at 5, some at 15, others at 55. But it's just a
Some
matter of
people never, though, Oxana. Some people never quite get there, do they?
I
Or
don't
do
know.
you?
That makes me sad. I don't know. Maybe I'm probably basing it on the group of like the people that I'm surrounding myself with
Yeah.
recently.
Yeah.
But that's actually, kind of like that's what this the saying of the old man filled with regret comes with.
Yes.
And
Agreed.
man, that makes me sad. It really
Yes.
does.
Yeah.
But again, for some reason, that was their journey, and
Yes.
it's again, we kind of touched upon it as well. It's a choice, right? It's a
It is.
choice.
It is.
But then also something that I've been reflecting on quite a lot, the good old question of nature versus nurture. And
Yes.
I think yes, we are supplied with a different set of, or whatever, very similar set of DNA, but with
Yeah.
certain little elements that differ. But man, how much are your surroundings are important, because whatever you put into your
Definitely.
headspace, the people
Definitely.
you surround, this is when, again, another good concept to talk about from this is boundaries, setting boundaries,
Yes.
identifying what's worth and what's not. But it's incredible, and that's why we need to be, this is why it's time to leave the job you hate, speaking of, because
Yes.
if you hate something, especially, I've been talking,
Don't do it.
funny enough, that's like a topic, how sometimes
Yeah.
like I talk to clients and that just on the agenda for the last couple
Yes.
of weeks is that I hate my job, but I'm afraid what I'm going to do. I'm like, well, I can't really tell you what to do because it's your life, but we can have a chat. Let's just see and break it down, what it means to you, what is that
Yes.
you're afraid of, and what are the possibilities. And in terms of just remembering that we spend literally, and again, good old corny saying, do
Yes.
something that you love, you're never going to work a day in your life. But that's true.
It
And
is
it's just
true.
like, because I've seen also, there are some, and again, because people think that they know best for someone else, there are so many doctors and lawyers that run in a family, but they're
Yeah.
so deeply unhappy. And I'm like, this
Yeah.
is so sad, because
Yeah.
ultimately, when you look, like when you look back at your life, speaking of that old man filled with
Yeah.
regret, it's like I am kind of thinking of, and it's might be a little bit on the melancholic side, but we come into this world alone. We go from this
Yes.
world alone, and whatever is happening with that last 15 seconds when your journey is done, and you're
Yes.
looking at your life, it's your life. You could
Yes.
live it for someone else, but it's all about, again, good old choices and good old,
Yeah.
surrounding yourself with people and podcasts and movies and whatever it is that you do. But all of those, and amazing social media, which can be used in
Yes.
2 different ways. Oh man, we're like talking all over the shop. I love this. It's just like so good. Not very
And
structured, but that's okay. That's just because I'm not very structured, but I'm thriving in chaos, so it's good.
but that's kind of the power of doing what we're doing today, is that we are having a real live conversation, and those people that are listening will pick up the bits that they need to hear, because
Yeah.
you and I are in alignment and agreement as to what we should be doing. And I'm really happy to talk about what you do, because it helps so many people. And the more people that know about NLP and what you do and how you can help them, the better humanity is going to be. And we need to keep having these conversations until we saturate the earth with the goodness that can come from
Yeah.
a journey into self-discovery.
No, I think, yeah, it's kind of like, it might sound, like a bit of a, how can I say it, like a, I don't know, promotion, agenda, whatever, but it's not necessarily like literally, and it's not necessarily me being like
It's
super
not.
altruistic, but like literally the way it feels is that, I kind of mentioned it before, if
Yeah.
someone, if someone needs to hear this, that whatever you're going through, the full range of emotions that you're experiencing,
Yeah.
you're okay. It's totally fine. It's just a matter of, this is coming into and tapping into the good old emotional intelligence, right? Because for
Yes.
some reason in school, we are taught freaking algebra and trigonometry. And I'm like,
I know. Why
am
are
I
we
going to
not
use
taught
this in
about this
life?
stuff?
Exactly. And I'm like, now slowly, I think, there is quite a big supporter of the Montessori approach. When actually, when we are born, when we come to this planet, this is what I believe, right? And this is kind of what we are discussing, but I believe that we already have a blueprint of what we are supposed to be. We have a roadmap, but we all know that map is not the territory. You're going to make it your own territory and your own journey, because you are the one. This is where the choices come in, where you take whatever, or not even making a choice. It's a choice as well. But it's the beauty of having that inspiration and surrounding yourself with people who inspire you, not who bring you down. And you know what? And comes to good old, tapping into a little bit boundaries and amazing family. It's okay to unfollow people in real life too. And it's totally fine, because you are the only one you have. And this headspace, it's yours. Like, remember the good old aviation metaphor. Remember to put on a mask on yourself before helping others, because if you don't, then everyone dies. And we just take, there are so many expectations of, women and parents and partners of what you should be doing. Well, fuck, according to whom? Like, ask yourself, next time you're going to have that whatever yelping sound that, oh, you shouldn't be doing this. Whose voice is it? Because you know what, funny enough, every time I'm still thinking about it, it's my mom's, it's not mine. I always like, stop being so selfish, because for me it was like the worst thing a woman could do is to take care of herself first. I'm like, wow. So this is kind of, and slowly, and and I'm still talking about it, because these are the things that are still coming up for me. It's just a matter of how we deal with things and what we do on an everyday basis. What do you choose to be?
I have to agree with you, Oxana. No matter how much I know in my head that it's not selfish to take care of your own mental health and your own body, that voice in the back of my head is still there going, "Don't be so selfish." Well, and you have to learn the skills that stop that voice from taking over, because it will take over. If you don't have the skills, it does take over, and you have to go, no, actually, I am caring about myself so that I can care and do all the things that I really feel driven to do. And if I don't look after myself, I won't be able to do those things, and I'm no good to anyone.
Yeah. And it's also, that's where I think it's a very good, very easy kind of the 3A approach comes in. It's all about 3 A's, the awareness, acceptance, and action. And I found that so many of us, and even, sometimes myself, but again, it's all about awareness. So we're aware, and then we just want to do something about it. So we skip that very, very crucial step of acceptance. And when we do it, anything that you do, it's not sustainable. Because when you haven't come to terms of whatever it is at hand, when you, and kind of like acceptance, this is good old, hello, the inner work that we are not, no one is perfect. No one is perfect. But it's all about, what are you choosing to be, and would you like to be on a path of becoming a better human? And you know what, how cool it works as well, not just for yourself, but for the ones around you too, because that's when the compounding effect of energy happens. Another very good I guess saying that I still kind of think of very, very often is that it's a Russian actually one, translated into English, so it might not sound as cool, but still pretty cool. Happy people are not rude on public transport. Happy people are not rude on public transport. Like, those people who are
I
rude
love that.
Yeah, the people who are rude to whatever service staff at restaurants, or people who are literally just absolutely miserable and they want to. It's kind of like the kick dog syndrome, right? Like when it kind of loops off and then the dog bites the CEO and then that's it. So that's kind of like, again, and it's all about understanding. It's not actually about you, because usually people are just too busy trying to save themselves in whatever journey that they're. So again, it's all that acceptance of yourself, but also people around you. Just be kinder. And I don't know, I truly believe in ecology in that way. So when you like literally, when you start changing when you embark on that journey. And
Yes.
you change the way you think, you change the vibrations, because it's all, well, technically we're all stardust anyway, right? So we're changing this energy, and just try it. You know what? Like, what's the worst thing that could happen if you don't try? Nothing is gonna fucking change. So just whatever
That's
it
right.
is, just try it and see how you go, and I'm sure you're gonna love it.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful. And I'm a fan. So here you go.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, I'm wondering, like, how often current circumstances out of the question, how often do you get home to Russia? Do you still have obviously you still got family in Russia? Do you still have a friend base in Russia, or have you been away now long enough to have a different friend circle?
I mean, mum, dad is still home.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a very interesting thing. What is home? Where is home? Lots of homes, but home.
Yes.
So motherland, Mother Russia. Yeah. So I try and go once a year, and it actually worked. Well, I'm not sure. Unfortunately, it's a bit of actually we're having a bit of a family crisis because it's dad's 70th in October, and obviously I don't think I'll be able to go. So yeah, it's not cool at all. But we're trying to figure out what to do with it. But usually on whatever the normality, what it used to be, I would go there once a year, and then they would come and visit us once a year because of the seasonality, right? So it's it's winter here now, it's summer there. I would go. It's actually mum's birthday on Friday, so I would have been in Russia if not COVID, but that's okay. Flexibility is the key, they say, apparently. So in terms of friendships, do you know what's quite interesting? I still do have a few that I catch up with, but they're like, I think they're just my people, my tribe, my soul.
Anyway.
My soulmates. Yeah. So we still keep in touch. But the majority, this is speaking of nature and nurture, collectiveness, because I've established my 20s, and this is the era of us where we build those connections, right? In a professional sense as well, not just the ones that like we used to go to school, this is your class and you have to deal with whatever you've got, right? Where it's actually I believe it's a fascinating time in the 20s where you have a choice. As soon as you actually, correction, asterisk, as soon as you realize that you have a choice, that's when you start having a choice of building your community and your tribe. So I have a very good a very, very good connection based here. And I mean, I love humans. I look a little bit scary sometimes, but like, believe it or not. Like, no, but anyway, like that's the feedback that I'm getting. I think it's the resting, it's the Russian resting beach face usually when I'm not. But it's kind of like with all the Russians, it's we come across as whatever, but then when you start talking to us, we're pretty cool. Yeah.
I have to agree. I love the accent, and I wouldn't ever say that you have resting bitch face. That just doesn't, when I think
every
of
time
Oxana,
I talk to you, I'm laughing.
Not what I think of.
Oh, good.
Not what I think of.
No.
Do you think that all the work that you've done on yourself and working with NLP with others, do you think that has had such a fundamental positive effect on you and your personality? Do you think the Oxana of old was that typical Russian stereotype, and the Oxana now, the one we see, the beautiful, happy, sunshiny, fulfilled person, is because of you made that conscious decision to do that work on yourself?
Man, this is such a great question. Yeah. I mean, I haven't actually thought of it, and that's speaking of that sense of identity. But that's what I would tell you. Like, even now you've asked this question and what's coming up for me, because the feedback, it used to be I was so Russian. Like, I was the epitome of Russianness that it could be. Not necessarily in a good or bad way, but like I was pretty Russian. And then obviously I've changed. My personality and me definitely changed. And actually having that fulfillment of what I do now, and I know what my purpose is and what's my why.
Yes.
Oh, absolutely. It's just, I think it was always about just helping people. Like, I think I've definitely been very, very caring and very, very empathic. But it's just kind of put it onto a very, very different perspective of just, yeah. And again, what comes to mind, because NLP is not rocket science.
Yeah.
It's so simple, but it works. And this
Yeah.
is why it's beautiful, because I think it's kind of like my life definitely changed. Totally. My
Yes.
life definitely changed before NLP and after NLP. Well,
Yeah.
if we're getting, a little bit kind of close and personal as well, it was the concept of, I found that it gave me the strength to know myself
Yes.
and to analyze myself, that I made some very important personal decisions, like
Yeah.
cutting my hair and getting a divorce, for instance. That was
Yes.
a big
Divorce
so
is a big thing for women, isn't it, Oksana? It's a huge,
well, it's security, right? And
yes.
obviously, and I love him to bits.
Yeah.
We have a very good relationship. We just kind of,
Yes.
we agreed that we're civilized and we've worked through it. And it's one day at a time, but I actually think, oh, I'm gonna cry. Look at me again.
Oh.
But it's actually realizing what we have now is
Yes.
a much better what it was to be forced to staying as a
Yes.
couple. And this
Yeah.
is a very interesting concept because of, security and what would people think. And you have to,
Yes.
like a good old programming for my parents, especially for my
Yes.
mom. I am like,
Yeah.
I'm
You must be
32.
married to be happy.
And also, it's all about those definitions. I'm 32, divorced
Yeah.
with no kids. I'm like a failure to my mom. But
No. And
no, but I
you're
mean, like,
not.
exactly. Again, like, and I'm just giving you perspective of how,
Yeah.
and that would have really hurt my feelings, I don't know, a couple of years ago, but now I can share this with you as a
Yes.
statement. It's not there is not really feelings attached to it.
Yeah.
I just find that by saying that NLP, it helped me to understand myself. It's such
Yeah.
a incredible self-discovery tool. Before,
Yes.
actually, you know what, like, it was my choice to take it one step further and start helping people with it,
Yeah.
because it's just something that I have this knowledge. I want to share
You
it,
want to
right?
share it.
But with NLP, even like everyone's journey starts, it's all about self-development. It's all about
Yes.
learning a little bit more about what to do with this, like how is
Yes.
all this working and how are we feeling. There is also another side of NLP. Obviously, it's used in business, and it's all about communication and
Yes.
creating rapport and the language. But again, because we're
Which
just
we're going to be
human.
talking about over the coming weeks together.
Yeah,
We we have so much to talk about,
yeah,
and we will explore a lot of these
totally.
concepts as we go through the next 3 programs together. Oksana, I'm just wondering, for me, it's very evident that you've done a lot of hard work on yourself. I'm just wondering, have your parents noticed the change? Have they realized just how hard you've had to work to get to Oksana 2020 versus Oksana that left Russia?
They just think I'm weird. So I think we kind of left it at that.
No.
No, and it's okay,
No.
because, again, like, I am, again, it's okay. I think I've just given up to trying to explain, because
Yes.
it's like we are not on the same level, and it's not in a condescending way at all, but it's
No,
almost
I
like,
agree. It's just they don't understand.
and it's okay.
No one's
It's not like I love them less, I love
No,
them to
no, I
bits.
know.
I always say that, they've given me life, and I'm
Yes.
so grateful for it.
Yes.
And I love them to bits. It's just a
Yeah.
matter of, and that's the thing about communication, right? It's not about being right.
No.
It's not
It
about even choosing battles. It's about creating synergy. And this is what I
Yes.
found with them, that this is how, and it's actually, by the way, this is applicable not necessarily to parents or to children or to teachers or to co-workers.
Yeah.
It's just humans. It's all about
Yes.
identifying what it is that works for you. And another
Mm.
thing, very, very importantly, because it's not ego driven. I don't need to
No.
prove and share. And, it's all kind
Yeah.
of, you want to hear the story?
Mm.
I'm more than happy to share, but I'm not going to force you.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep.
Have they noticed? Yeah, no, seriously, but that like, that's what's coming up. Have they noticed? They definitely noticed the change, but they're kind of,
Yeah.
they finally just, I can't say stop caring. Like, mom is still obviously very worried, but she's just worried that I'm by myself, and I'm so
Right.
happy to be by myself. And it's
Yeah.
just like, yeah, yeah, I'm not sure. I think I kind of answered the question. I think they've
Yes,
noticed that I've changed, but it
yep,
wasn't really in a great, like, yay
yep,
way. It was like, oh, you're kind of different, but that's okay. But now we actually, so the good thing is that we are like, even with like the hair situation,
yeah,
she did not, I had to tell them that I'm gonna do it because they both have heart, like the weak heart thing. So I didn't want to create like, the heart attack situation. So actually I had to tell them that I'm gonna do it, and then I did it.
yeah,
And she did not believe me. Like when I called her with no hair, she was like,
yeah.
I cannot believe you just did it. I'm like, yeah, it's
Of course I
actually
did.
feels awesome. It felt so liberating actually doing it myself. But again, like, I'm
Yeah,
not promoting shaving hair. I'm just saying that it meant quite
it was
big
symbolic
significance
and
at the time.
significant to
Oh,
you.
totally.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
it
no,
just
I
feels
get it.
right. Like for the very, very first time in a very, very long time, I just feel like it's me. Yeah, that's me.
It's you. It's you. Oksana, before we run out of time, and I'm looking at the clock going, oh gosh, that chat's gone quickly. I
Yeah.
want listeners to know where they can find you. So over to you about where they can find you and what are some of the key services that you offer to help people at the moment.
Uh, Very easy. OxanaJohnson.com.
Yes,
Just the web. And then there are so many, there are the social icons if you want to follow me. I'm quite active on LinkedIn and on
yes,
Facebook. So
yes.
just to keep it simple, if you jump on the website
And they've got the,
www.oxanajohnson.com, all the
yeah,
information is there. There is also really nice. I really like that induction. Like a little constructed meditation, guided
yes, I was just
meditation.
I
Yeah,
was
yeah,
just going to say, if you jump onto Oksana's website, she has this beautiful little meditation that you can get for yourself.
yeah,
And it's particularly lovely for anyone who just wants an introduction to meditation. If you've never
yeah,
done meditation or listened to it's a lovely little meditation that you can get from Oksana's website.
yeah.
And then it goes on to talk to you about NLP, and you can also book Oksana
Mhm.
directly online, and she can talk to anyone across the world. She's not limited to those in Australia. So if you're listening in Russia, please jump on and book Oksana for a consult. You'll be really glad that you did, because Oksana's done a lot of work and she's done the hard yards to be able to help you improve your life, and particularly around the talk that goes on in your head.
Yeah,
And
it's also
may
like yeah, just very quickly, like it's not even like let's just treat it as a chat. It's not a consultation. We'll get to that,
yep,
but just like hit me up, and I'm also
have a chat.
always on WhatsApp. Just let's have a chat, like human to human. I would love to hear
Yes,
your story, and
yes,
if there is anything at all that I can help you with, or even if I cannot, I'm sure I have people in the industry that I can forward
yeah,
you to. But let's just connect. I would love to connect. Let's do it, guys.
yes. Oksana is a very good connector, I have to tell you people. One question I wanted to ask too, do you still dance?
Oh, no, but I do my yoga. This is something that, yeah, and again, not yet, but it's something that's been coming up recently. So maybe I
Yeah,
will embark on a new journey and maybe I can write about it. But let's see.
yeah,
No, I love my theater and art and performance,
yes,
but I haven't been into a studio for over 15 years. So yeah,
yeah,
wow.
yeah.
Why not?
And was it classical ballet? Did you tell me it was classical
Oh
ballet
no
that
no no
you
no no no!
originally
I don't have the body for the ballet. No no no, Toni. It was just contemporary. Well, not
uh,
just, but contemporary. Yeah.
well, contemporary is beautiful anyway. And
So yeah,
tell me, do you still have times where you have to sit yourself down and have a stern talk to yourself?
every fucking morning. It's just like this does not happen out of nowhere. This is, and again, it's coming from the choice. Well, like again,
Yes,
it's I do have and this is what we built as well. The constructive, resourceful routines. What is it
yes,
works for you? I've along my journey, I've tried lots of different things, and I know what works and I know what needs to be applied when. But
Yeah.
ultimately, the way that I would probably, even if something very simple to be taken away from today, even conversation, is
Yes.
we talk and we are always asking others how they are. So, hi, how are you? Usually, sometimes we care, sometimes we don't. It's just a figure of speech.
Yeah.
But the matter of that, how about to start your day with that and check in with yourself?
Yeah.
Waking up, not touching your
How do you
phone,
feel?
just how are you? Like, what
Mm.
is something sore? Because this is where also your body is talking to you. You're just lying down there. You
Yeah.
just absolutely become aware of, and this is also, for the meditative folks, that's what we do,
Yes.
right? Become
Yeah.
aware of your body. It's the mind body connection. It's the only one you've got. And that's when you start creating a choice to be nice to yourself and to be kind to
Yeah.
yourself and what it is that needs to be done today. So here you go. There are so many other
And
things that grow from it, but yeah.
yes. How long do you take for that process every morning, Oksana?
Well, my routine, it's a half an hour routine, but this is
Yes.
something that I allocate for myself
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
start off when you can't just jump on straight away and do lots of things because they're just overwhelming. I would
Yeah.
suggest, and this is from memory, when I started, where I started, they were just 5 minutes check-ins.
Yeah.
Sometimes people do it with, well, when you check in, sometimes they do it with watching sunrise or
Yes.
burning a candle. It's all about
Yes.
anchoring as well, or going for a walk, or listening to the music. That's something like whatever, or doing some stretches,
Yeah.
whatever it is to you, because some people are kinesthetic, we need to move. Some
Yes.
people are visual, have a look at your vision board. If you don't have one, let's make one for you.
Yes.
Or if it's auditory, it's all about, listening to the music or meditation. So if you download that meditation, it's only like 9 minutes or something, so it's perfect.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's all again, it's all about the way that I work as well and I talk to humans. It's about you. I'm just the facilitator of your journey.
Yes.
I can inspire you to do things that you wish to, but it's all
Yeah.
about you. It's not about hello, how you feel and how it made you feel and what did you
Yeah.
feel after you felt that.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
that's, you can, yeah, I nah.
Yeah.
So that's a drop the mic basically. I think this
Yeah, I
is
was just thinking that's a good, it's a good place to start. You mentioned yoga before. Is that another part of practice that you found is helpful for you?
for me, absolutely. Yes, I
Yeah.
do. I love my different types of yoga, but this is how.
Yes.
So for my self-care,
Yeah.
my rituals, it's going for long walks, and also,
Yes.
but I need to look at the water. This is just, I don't need to be in the water. I need to
Yeah.
look at the water. I burn my, well, I was gonna say I burn my candles. This is my little candle.
Yes. Yeah.
I love my flowers, so I'm creating little totems for myself. Just anything that makes you feel good, like
Yes.
really, and obviously not
And it,
hurting other people without consent. But anything that makes you feel good, people, yeah,
and it can be really simple, can't it? Like you just got to tap into those things that light you up and make you smile. And if it's as simple as a flower or your puppy dog or your cat, then that's what you do. Sit
yeah.
there and play with the dog for 15 minutes, whatever it
What
is.
makes exactly what makes
Yeah.
you happy? And that's just
Yeah.
ask this because we forget to check in with ourselves
We
because
do.
we always try to make others happy and that's what we do. We live for others, but you're
Yes.
the only one you have. And just like look after yourself and literally just even ask
Yes.
yourself, like, what have you done? Have you done something good for yourself today? Even if
Yeah.
it was, looking what goes into your body. So what
Yes.
is it, something, something tasty and healthy and delicious that you've eaten today, but that you just made for
Correct.
yourself. Meal prep. Like
Yeah.
Sundays are my meal prep, and this is just, I might have a couple of glasses of red wine while I do it, but it's all about, being nice to yourself
Yeah.
and it makes
Yes.
me happy.
Mm.
So yeah, what is it that makes you happy?
Yeah, yeah. Fantastic. Which is just about the perfect point to leave our interview
Totally.
today, on that note of finding out what makes you happy and doing it every day without failure. Just that's one small action starts
Totally.
you off on that better life. So Oxana, thank you so much for joining Radio Toni Everyday Business today. And I can't wait till our discussion next week live on BBS Radio. And for anyone who wants to see the replay, it will be up on our socials later. Obviously, it's been streaming live into Facebook and LinkedIn today. And Oxana, thank you so much for your time. It's been just a pure delight talking to you today. And I can't wait to see what our next 3 sessions will have for everyone to listen to. So without any further ado, that's it for this week. Thank you, Oxana, and over to
Thanks,
you,
guys.
Dom.
Thank you.